Welcome. We are pleased to meet with you again in such a fashion. We are curious to hear from you at this time if you hold the answers to some questions that perhaps you have not yet asked yourself. We are wondering how you see what is being presented to you and how it is you see yourself in relation to what is being presented to you, if what is presented to you has been enough of a stimulus to motivate you to make some of the changes or directional growth that you created the circumstance in the first place for, or if you're of the mind that what is being presented to you is not yet enough of a motivation to make said changes or take the direction of growth that you yourself have assigned for you to take as a result of your reaction or response to what you see in front of you. As a collective, you have, perhaps for the first time in history, been presented with an example of the possibility to react in unison because your request was in unison, and yet the collective reaction needs to be taken on the part of the individual. You are the individual, and we would like to know if the reaction that you are taking or the response that you are making at this time is the one that you would choose to see all of the collective participate in. We have noticed that in the habitual and understandable fashion, many in the collective have chosen to respond to opportunity with the same actions to which they have responded up until now, by finding new and creative ways to promote division. And we ask you and remind you at this time that all of reality is based upon your own choices, and that you have the opportunity to choose what comes next based upon how you respond in this now. Do you want more of the stimulus that is being generously provided to you at this time before you make the necessary choices to actually heed your own internal inspiration? Or would you rather simply begin to live from that space of knowing, so that any further opportunity or stimulus or catalyst is no longer needed? We still are witness to much complaining, as if that which is presented has come from some external source. We remind you that complaining is unproductive, unnecessary, and abusive. And we wish you the releasing of these behaviors, though in this group we feel that there is not much of this distortion. We would like to hear what you feel on this subject, and if you believe that you have had enough. At this point, we will ask our host to see if there is anyone who would like to discourse or communicate.
Hey guys. So I believe you asked if we'd had enough of the stimulus or what we were learning from and may potentially have been complaining about. I would say in my circumstance, yes, indeed, I have had enough. I wondered if you could share with me about what has been recently happening in my life with the lessons I've been learning with my family, so I can understand how to learn from this and take ownership for it, as I do see that it's a self-creation.
Yes, well, any form of catalyst would simply cease to be should you make the choices towards the growth that is being asked of you. In yourself, you know that there is no form of separation. In yourself, you know that there is only love, only light. So, as you look at any form of situation or catalyst, you may look at it and find those spaces in which you perceive of something other than love, or perceive of something other than unity, or perceive of something other than light. It is those places that are keying you to what it is that wants to be transformed or transmuted, or, as you said, take ownership of. Whatever is confusing or trying is a direct pointer. If you have a specific example of some form of way that you are perceiving of it as catalyst in the first place, then you would know. We can discuss this.
I'm wondering why it always seems to be the family commitment or their desire for my family to commitment that comes up in direct conflict with what I believe and know is my highest alignment and the path that I choose to take. So I always have an additional layer of difficulty, or it seems to be that um, there is this continuation of the theme where there's always a there's always they're coming up at the same time, like an important family occasion versus something else that is of more importance to me. And then I have a difficulty with my family and their feelings around that.
You are being asked to follow your truth, no matter the circumstance and no matter the cost. At this time, you believe that the cost of following your truth is the upset of your family, and potentially that the upset of your family leads them to no longer love you, or to abandon you, or to believe something of you that you would rather they not believe of you. It is not a real cost. It is just the roles or the script that you have given them so that you can more fully step into following your inner guidance no matter the circumstance. This will continue to happen until you are confident that it is best for you and for them and for everyone around you and for the planet for you to follow your inner guidance. It is a pattern only because you are still in a state of doubt. There is still some element of you that has a belief that if you were to follow your inner guidance, or as you follow your inner guidance, there is some sort of real debt to pay. It is so important to you to learn that your inner guidance is your only compass, that you are presenting yourself with resistance or conflict so that you can super the conflict and see that on the other side of the conflict, having made the correct decision for you, there really was nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships will come and go, even those bonded by blood or spirit, and yet they will never vanish. For the contract that you have with each and every being that you have in contact is, in effect, whether or not they are in your physical environment, whether or not they are in your time-space frame at this moment, whether or not they are alive or dead. These contracts are in place because you bump into each other like balls on a billiard table, which would be stationary without the movement of the other balls. When you see that there is conflict, It is only conflict until you see that there is not. And it is through confidence that you arrive at a space where all conflict resolves. Because the only conflict one can ever have truly is within oneself. It is represented externally, but it is never truly with the other self. There can be gratitude for the presentation of resistance or conflict that the seeming other gifts to you, for without it, you would not be able to look at what your priorities are, to look at what your beliefs are, and to then reassess whether or not your beliefs are serving both to you and to those with which you would like to serve.
That's very clear. So are you saying that once I resolve the conflict within myself, there will no longer, it will no longer arise, and to just, yeah, focus on my own alignment there and take greater confidence in acting towards that, as opposed to trying to resolve misunderstandings, miscommunications, and try to bridge the understandings of our realities.
When you are certain of your intentions and certain of your direction, without doubt, if the conflict or stimulus were to arise, which it may, it would not be able to be turned into a conflict within you, and therefore it would be less likely to arrive at a state of misunderstanding. It would be less likely to arrive at a state of upset from the other party, for you emanating that confidence and knowing of your own intentions and your own direction would energetically be transmitted to the other party, who would, despite their disappointment or despite their wishing something was another way, would in part understand more fully that you are as you are, and that it is their role to be able to resolve what that triggers in them on their own. You are co-triggering for everything that you perceive of as conflict. There is another self on the other side who similarly perceives it at this time as conflict, and both of you have some spark of direction in which you would like to step. You are mutually allowing the other self to have the stimulus towards walking in that direction. They perhaps are projecting onto you a need of you having to be in a certain place at a certain time to prove your love to them, but that would mean that they would think that your love needs proving, which means that they would have an insecurity about the nature of love in the first place. And so, in your standing in your space and then having to learn that love is not based upon conditions, whether that was painful for them at first or not, would be a phase of their growth that they would then benefit from evermore. Conflict is a good thing. This is why we ask the question, have you had enough? Because it is as easy to be in conflict for the benefits that it brings as it is to step out of it. There is nothing wrong with conflict or catalyst. We do not see them as negative. They are perceived perhaps as negative, but they are always taking you towards the space of growth. The question is, do you want to get there faster in a more comfortable manner, or would you rather take the long road, which is the road you have been taking thus far? Because of the collective nature of the recent catalysts and the collective nature of the request to implement these catalysts in your reality, we are under the mind that perhaps you will at some point reach a level of deciding that it is no longer necessary for you to have more suffering or have more. And we would like for you to consider at what point would that decision be made for each and every one of you? What would you need to happen to say this is enough? And we don't mean you specifically in this case, we are presenting this to all. But if you would like to answer as well, relating to your specific circumstance, in your relational confusion or discomfort at this time, what would need to happen for you to say, it is enough?
What happened on Saturday was what needed to happen for me to say enough is enough.
Perfect. Then you're ready to decide what it is that you know already you have decided.
Mm-hmm.
With love. You can tell if the decision has been made, if the emotional charge in a direction that is not love, although all directions ultimately are, if that emotional charge is neutralized, and you can look at the players on the stage as what they are, with both compassion and admiration, then you know that your decision is final and that you are no longer participating in that drama yourself, and that you are actually giving to them what they need as well to grow. It does at times mean sacrificing your image of self or allowing a relationship to dissolve.
Yes. And I feel like I've already very strongly chosen to be finished with it. And now I'm neutralizing all the charges of it and becoming like okay with the acceptance of it and the loss of self-image and the dissolution of the connections that are needed, I feel.
We say hold your confidence in that space and compassion for yourself if anything should arise that needs more processing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. So, in continuing with the same subject, but on a much larger concept, um, it's been around that maybe in September something is going to occur that may cause confusion or may make us rethink about the way the world is being presented to us. So I would like, if you can, bring a light on how to deal with what is to come, because I believe you will know, will not reveal what is, but maybe give us some advice on how to handle what may come.
Firstly, we would like to ask you what it is you believe would be necessary to cause the confusion that you intuit and have heard of that is on the horizon, that would be enough to have you rethink what you have been believing about the world so far. And as a second question, if you think that the way that you have been believing of the world so far is in alignment with the way that you would like to believe the world to be.
So, what would be enough for me to have no question about making changes would probably be a catastrophe so big that we can no longer deny it, or maybe an information that would be so in our face that we can no longer deny it. Um, that would probably make me move or make me uncertain in times of making decisions.
Well, then we have some unfortunate news for you. If that is what is required to make you move or certain in making some decisions, then that is exactly what you are calling into your reality at this time. 4, if you were ready to make these moves and make decisions without the catalyst or without the information that is so blatantly in your face that you would have to have no choice but to make a move, then you would already be making it. We suggest that if you would prefer to have a reality that does not involve these types of experiences, then the movement has to begin now, before you are calling in some sort of experience that would cause you to make this movement. And this is exactly what we were talking about on your collective level. If you want to avoid what you are calling in, which is something of those proportions, and we are not making predictions, we are simply stating how it works, then make your moves. Because the truth is, you are all ready to move. But you have used the word deny. You have said it would need to be so big that we can no longer deny that what we have been doing is incorrect or not holistic or going in the direction that we do not want it to go in. You have made determinations that the world that you have at this time is not the world you would want. However, you have a belief that to arrive at the movement towards the world that you would want, you would need to destroy the world that you have. It is not a beautiful position to be in, should you choose to have comfort and ease. We are telling you that there is the possibility, as there is always, there is never a situation where something is too late, as every reality exists simultaneously and you simply have to choose it. But we are saying that the direction we see you going in at this time is that you have made a request to the universe for a better world, and you do not believe that you can have that better world in a peaceful way at this time.
Okay.
The easiest way to release the circumstance that would arrive by you asking for it is to no longer believe that it is necessary to achieve the end that you are requesting. If you want world peace, do not invite in a global war so that you can learn that war does not work. Simply choose peace now on your own individual level, in every action and thought. It is contagious.
Okay. I forgot your second question. If you could remind me.
Our second question may have been, what world would you like to see?
I would like to see a world with peace. Well, actually, all the things that I am afraid that come never come. Basically, world peace, people not getting scared of each other, and people don't uh, think bad things about others, no judgment. All of those things I believe everybody wants.
Yes, we believe that that is what you're calling in as well. We suggest that you make every endeavor in yourself to promise to yourself at this moment that you will act in that way at all times and be vigilant that you are fulfilling that desire within yourself, because you cannot control what other selves do with your actions. You can only control your circumstance with your vibration.
I'm trying. Sometimes I slip. I believe I slip. I notice when I do it. What it's hard is not to beat myself up after it, because I do realize that I do fall into.
You have our permission to stop beating yourself up. It is unnecessary and it slows the process. When you slip, have compassion, foremost, for yourself. Know that the one that has slipped is the one that is conditioned and who is playing out old patterns. Every time you catch yourself, you may simply say oopsie and continue on with your day, trying harder, or not trying harder, but just being more of what it is you would like to be in the next moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, it has been the thing in me also uh, to see the division that I see in the world, the good and evil within myself. So trying to stop right now the insistence of avoiding to face the fear of the devil in me. So is the fear that is difficult a lot of times, or to avoid that to, deep surrender. So what I'm trying to is with tender love to see it as a wound child that needs lots of love. And as I work on that, my question is, the fear is still very strong, and then it feels in the chest closing. But is that relationship as we let those knots unfold or release? Do you see any reflection also on our capacity to um, uh, unlock deeper parts of our DNA on a, that will help us to just have that momentum of the strength to keep on working toward unity? So I don't know if it's a question, but it is, is that fear of looking at the devil within me, which is I been done it for all my life, or just humans we are. So how to tackle that?
Well, it would be hard to tackle something that does not exist. If you are interested in the full flavor of unity, then the first thing that you will have to understand is that there is no devil in you. There is no darkness and light. There is only one. Every aspect of what you could call yourself or other self that seems negative or evil or dark is not in reality. It is your own perception that you've placed upon it that makes it so. And it is only in you seeing it in that way that you create it in the first place. It is absolutely neutral, as all things are. Whatever it is that you see in yourself or other selves or the world that is of a dark or seeming unexplainable or horrific nature is simply another expression of existence, because all is needed in the infinite, and it is your perception of it that is creating it to seem negative. As you begin to let go of perceiving of things as positive or negative and see all things as neutral, you will come to the space of acceptance. And in that acceptance, realize that it is all light, it is all God. There is nothing to fear, for there's nothing that is separate from that light. There is nothing that is separate from God. And fear itself will dissolve, because you will understand how unnecessary fear has been in the first place. It has not protected you, for there has never been anything from which you needed protection. Allow yourself to let go of the ideas that anything could harm you. Allow yourself to melt into your discomfort in the same way you would melt into comfort, and label everything you see and feel and hear and taste and touch as simply the sensations that they are, rise above those sensations into the space of knowing that you are, because truly nothing affects you, and not in a nothing affects me, I am not connected to this world type of way, but the you that you are is unaffected and is appreciating all sensation and all experience and all that it is in exactly the same way. It is all the same mechanism that experiences whatever is. So, yes, feel free to work through and find ways to alleviate your discomfort by looking at the elements of you that produce discomfort through your perceptions, but do not blame some form of darkness that you need to wrestle with as if it was a true element. For everything in existence is equal, and everything in existence is loved by the Creator, by Source, by all that is. We know that from your perspective as humans, this is controversial because there are things that are unexplainable to you, and it would be more convenient to be able to say that something was external to the will of creation. It is convenient for you to say that there is evil or darkness or the devil, because then you do not have to understand that it is you. And as you opened this discourse, you said, yes, it is me. But you have to take it one step further to the point where it isn't even.
Thank you. Beautiful.
This has been a taxing session on the vessel for reasons we am sure you are aware of through our audio. We are eternally grateful for your presence and believe that some of the conversation that we have had this evening has been of great benefit, if not directly to you, then to those who may choose to listen. We send all of our love to you, all of our blessings, and ask you to ponder in the next week the questions we posed earlier. What it would take for you to truly make the changes in the direction you wish to go in, and look at your answer honestly. And when that answer arises in you, know that that is the choice you are making for your future, for you are already calling in that new version of yourself, and you will be calling in also the excuses you need to take those steps. We ask you to choose wisely which excuses you would need to make the changes in your life that you are wanting to make at this time. For there is much acceleration, and all wishes are being granted. We wish you the light of 1,000 suns. Anai.